Vintage is a phenomenon. It has turned old into vogue and new into mainstream. But more than that, for many people it has evolved from a trend into a true lifestyle. And to it belong the ever more popular vintage markets. Vintage fairs have become an essential part of the growing trend towards second-hand clothing. I am here at Clerkenwell Vintage Fair today and hot on the trail of a true vintage experience. Savitri Coleman is the organizer of the event taking place at the barrack setting of Old Finsbury Town Hall. She explains why vintage fairs are such a special experience.
I think vintage fairs are always exciting because you're going to find something there that you haven't seen anywhere else before. It's going to be something unique, and there's always a great selection of vintage, so it's a great day out.
Since its premiere 5 years ago, Clerkenwell Vintage Fair has become one of London's biggest fairs for second-hand clothing and a go-to event for vintage lovers. Yet, for them the fairs mean more than a great day out. They are on a hunt for clothing with history.
I use a lot of my grandmother's clothes, my great-grandmother's clothes, and my mum's stuff even, so for me it's that history behind the clothes and all the stories, what they've experienced, and then they get to experience it.
Some of the visitors will leave happy today, with something in their bags that can turn them into a 20s Gatsby, a 60s Marilyn, or an 80s Mercury. But is slipping into a role really the true vintage experience? Savitri Coleman says what it is to her.
To me, it's just clothes. I appreciate good quality vintage. I think it's very difficult to get quality pieces today unless they're vintage, and I think the word vintage has been overused somewhat. To me, vintage is fashion and accessories that are more than 25 years old, and they also sing of their era.
For Savitri, experiencing vintage means clothes. For others, it means a way of life. Again, for others, it might mean something completely different. What vintage definitely is, however, is a special experience.